What if I told you the world may be already standing on the edge of another global war? And most people don't even realize it yet? Explosions in Dubai, missiles flying across the Middle East, the United States launching strikes, Iran retaliating, China watching closely. Is this just another regional conflict or the beginning of something much bigger? Today, we are breaking down everything happening right now and answering the big questions. Is this the beginning of World War III? Stay with me to the end. And if you're watching me for the very first time, this is Blessing Viral. Hit the red button and subscribe to this channel, and also turn on notification so you'll be the first to get notified every time we drop a new video. So let's get started.
This intertwining of two nominally separate conflicts, the Russia-Ukraine war and the US-Israel-Iran war, is dangerous in and of itself, and has also left the South Caucasus countries of Azerbaijan, Armenia and Georgia, which are key transit and energy corridors linking Europe to Asia, caught in the middle, having to manage the heightened risks from two major neighbouring conflicts. This rapid expansion of the war in Iran has led to some speculation that we might be in the opening phases of a Third World War. This might sound melodramatic, but it's far from a fringe opinion.
Let's start with the facts. Tensions between Iran and the United States have been building for years, but recently things escalated fast. Report shows that major military strikes targeting Iran responding with drones and missiles, strategic location in the Middle East under threat, even places like Dubai experiencing disruption and fear. This is no longer just political tension. This is active conflict. And when powerful nations start exchanging military force, the entire world pays attention.
World War III. Well, there are definitely causes for concern. The US and Russia, arguably two of the world's great military powers, are now fighting what essentially looks like proxy wars against one another in both Ukraine and Iran. 5 of the world's 9 nuclear powers, the US, Israel, the UK, France and Russia, are involved in some sort of conflict. And this is all happening against the backdrop of wider geopolitical insecurity, as the so-called rules-based order breaks down.
Now you might be thinking, haven't we seen conflicts like these before? Yes, but this one is different. Here is why. This is not just one country versus another. The United States is a global military superpower. Iran has strong regional influence and allies. China is quietly observing and positioning itself. When global powers are involved, things can escalate very quickly.
Advised 2 decades of presidents in the White House.
President Trump is really stuck, but he thrives in chaos.
And spent 30 years building the curriculum that trains the Air Force for the exact type of war that's taking place now in Iran. And one of the most mind-blowing things I've learned is that there are 3 stages to this conflict. Unfortunately, Professor Robert Pape, who has 2 decades of being correct with his predictions, gives a 75% chance that Trump is about to escalate to stage 3. In this episode, we're going to explain exactly what this means.
The Middle East is not just any region. It controls a huge portion of the world's oil supply. And one key location, the Strait Hormuz, is responsible for transporting a large percentage of global oil. If that road is blocked or attacked, oil prices rise globally. Economies start shaking. Nations begin to panic. When places like Dubai are mentioned in conflict discussions, it's serious. Dubai is known globally for tourism, business, international travel. So when tension reaches such cities, it signals that the situation is spreading. Now, let's address the main question. What actually defines a world war?
Or France, despite their support for Ukraine. Second, a world war would presumably require direct conflict between the US and another superpower. But Trump is such a big fan of both Putin and Xi that it's hard to imagine that happening at the moment. But third, and most importantly, the lessons of the past few years, or even decades, is that war doesn't work.
A world war usually involves multiple powerful nations fighting across different regions, global economic disruption, military alliances being activated. So are we seeing these signs? Countries are already choosing sides, some openly, others quietly. Oil prices are rising drastically. Transportation, food supply, daily living cost. Even if you are in Africa, Europe or Asia, you feel it. When nations begin moving troops, weapons, and naval forces, it's not just preparation, it's positioning. But here is the truth. We are not officially in a world war yet, but the conditions are forming.
Guys, I've got a quick favour to ask you. We're approaching a significant subscriber milestone on this show, and roughly 69% of you that listen and love this show haven't yet subscribed for whatever reason. If there was ever a time for you to do us a favour, if we've ever done anything for you, given you value in any way, it is simply hitting that subscribe button. And it means so much to myself, but also to my team, because when we hit these milestones, we go away as a team and celebrate. And it's the simple, free, easy thing you can do to help make this show a little bit better every single week. So that's a favour I would ask you. And if you do hit the subscribe button, I won't let you down, and we'll continue to find small ways to make this whole production better. Thank you so much for being part of this journey. It means the world. And yeah, let's do this.
China is one of the most important players in this situation. But here is what makes it interesting. China is not directly fighting. Instead, it is observing, strategizing, protecting its economic interests. China depends heavily on oil from the Middle East. So if this conflict disrupts supply, China cannot stay silent forever. This makes China a silent giant in this situation. And if China decides to step in, everything changes.
What the hell is going on in the world? Now, I should ask first, who are you and what have you spent the last several decades of your life studying and doing, and how does that relate to what's happening in the world right now?
We are going through a crisis, very intense right now, but it's a crisis that we have been through before. 20 years ago with the Iraq War, even before that, we saw the bombing of Gaddafi, we saw the reactions there. Now, I have been studying military strategy, air power, international terrorism, now terrorism inside the United States, and also political violence in the United States that's not related to particular groups. So I've been studying political violence for 40 years.
What is the headline that people need to be aware of when you've looked at 30 years of these types of wars?
That bombs don't just hit targets, they change politics.
What does that mean?
That means that before the bombs fall, and even as the bombs are falling now, we tend to focus on the tactical success of bombing. We tend to ask, did the bombs hit the targets? And it's, with the smart bomb age, it's almost mesmerizing. They hit the target and destroy the target. Crater dirt, crater concrete, destroy buildings 90% of the time. The problem is, wars are not just about the hardware. They're not just about the military operation of putting a bomb on a target. They're about politics. And when the bombs start to fall, the politics in both the target, the enemy, change, and the politics in the attacker, the initiator, change. And that threshold is the beginning of what I'm calling the escalation trap. Because you get at stage one, tactical success often. What's missing here is the next consideration, which is politics.
Now, let's be real. Not every conflict becomes a world war, but some do, especially when powerful nations refuse to back down. Retaliation continues to escalate. More countries get involved. Right now, the world is at a critical point. It can go into two different directions. Diplomacy, peace talks, controlled responses, or more attacks, more countries joining, full-scale global conflict. History has shown us that wars don't just start overnight. They build slowly, tension after tension. So, is this the beginning of World War III? The honest answer is not yet, but it has the potential to become one.
And what did that mean? That meant we took out the whole target. We have the target set laid out. We have the attack plans. We really go through the bombing of Natanz, Fordow, Esfahani. There's a number of these facilities and so forth. And then we look at what's going to happen. And what you see right away is 90+%, those B-2s are going to destroy those targets. Okay?
B-2s being the aircraft.
These stealthy aircraft that can penetrate the airspace, very small risk of loss. And then you see, but we don't know where the nuclear material is. The whole point of this is not to destroy a building. It's to get at the 5%, 20%, 60% enriched uranium that's the material for bombs.
And that is why it matters. Because what happens next will depend on decisions made by world leaders in the coming days and weeks. If you found this video very insightful, make sure you like, subscribe to the channel, share with someone who needs to understand what's happening. And I want to hear from you. Do you think this could turn into world war? Or will it calm down? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. See you in the next video.